Right, so it's that time of the week again for us to go through the dev blog. This is the 2.1 Tankover Divizii, which has a nice picture somewhere. There it is. I see a nice picture. Um, so basically, I'm gonna read through the deepest lore because I recently found out that many of you can't read, which I'm very sorry to hear. But I hear that Orange Man has dismantled the Department of Education, so presumably this trend will continue, and so I got to keep reading out the words. If you want to just skip that, just check the timestamps. I'll go through everything in order, right, tab by tab, etc. So, Dobry den, commanders. I believe that means hello in Slovak. And today we're back with our, second Warno South Ag division, and this will be Warsaw Pact's first Czechoslovakian tank division. So Czechoslovakia I'm not a well-traveled person at all. I come from what you could call humble origins. There wasn't really money to travel. There still isn't. But I have been to Prague because I had to present at a conference there for my PhD. So yeah, this will be interesting for me. I got a chance to see a lot of the museums and stuff. It was really interesting, actually. Anyway, maybe that'll come up again as we read the law. So, Slovakia Czechia, as I like to call it to annoy Czechs, is a communist nation as part of the Eastern Bloc. Doesn't exist anymore. Obviously, they split into two countries now, Slovakia and the other one. And sorry, I used to play Arma 3 a lot, and Arma 3 is made in the Czech Republic. And there used to be a bunch of Czech clans that would play with us on these Arma 3 events. And yeah, we always used to wind them up with that. Basically, anything bad in the history of their nation, they would just blame on the Slovaks. Any failed operation, whatever, it was Slovakia's fault. I always thought it was very funny. So we always used to call them Slovakia Czechia and just sort of wind them up a little bit. There'll be plenty of that in this dev diary. I do apologise to all three of my Czech fans. So yeah, Czechoslovakia, one nation, right, formed from the breakup of Austria-Hungary. So you've got Britain to blame for this, and yeah. So basically, they were occupied by the Soviet Union because they wanted to do their own thing, and that wasn't allowed. It's often said that uh, the reason Czechoslovakia didn't join NATO is because the Czechs could not support two superpowers. They've got this whole thing where they talk about the Soviet Union as this donor empire and how it basically had an extractive relationship with all its colonies, and they would send them, tank optics, and they would receive in return flower baskets and things like that. That's why this League of Nations from the Baltic to the Black Sea and obviously towards the Mediterranean, it's known as the Butthurt Belt because they're very, very unhappy about the Soviet occupation. So here we go. It talks about the Soviet occupation. So yeah, one of the museums I got to go to was the Czech Military History Museum, and it was really interesting. It spoke a lot about. I'm getting very off topic here, but you can just skip this part. Spoke a lot about like the Czechs under Austria, Hungary, and how the Czechs joined loads of foreign legions and stuff to fight on to try and get their independence. And there was this huge section about how the Soviets had it was like 20,000 troops, or it might have been 12,000. It was a while ago, so I can't really remember. Stationed in Czechoslovakia to make sure that the people voted correctly and did things the way the Soviets wanted. And it was sort of this. It was a really interesting museum. I suggest you go there. It has this entire room dedicated to Chamberlain and how Chamberlain betrayed Czechoslovakia. I walked in and it's just a picture of him here like this. I don't know maybe if I can be bothered editing it, I can. In fact, you know what? We can skip the editing and I can just get it up on my phone and point it at the camera. Well, this is next level stuff here. Um, where are we? I'll just edit this part out, right? But yeah, it was a really interesting military museum. I got to see the National History Museum as well. If you want me to sort of show you all the pictures and stuff, just let me know. I don't know if a comment gets let's say 50 likes on a comment saying that they want to see the rest of the holiday to Czechoslovakia, Czechia. It's a really nice place. Very rich culture and history. Loads of really nice museums. I am just winding them up when I talk about my love of the Slovak people. Uh, I can't find it. I'm just gonna have to do some editing, I guess. This is so sad. Can we hit 50 likes? Um, yeah, I just can't find. Oh, here we go. It's kind of dark. You can't really see it. But yeah, it's like a really dark room, and you go into the dark room, and you just see a picture of. Oh man, it thinks I'm a background. I'm gonna like. There we go. No, it's not having it. It's not having it. You can sort of see it. Whatever. Just trust me, bro. Oh man, we're gonna have to do a lot of editing on this video. Anyway, so I was talking about how they were occupied, and it was really harrowing. And then in the next room, they talked about as soon as they got their independence, they joined NATO and then went and sat on Afghanistan for 20 years, occupying the country, telling them who to vote for, how to act. And there was not a single taint of irony in the whole thing. They were talking about how horrible it was to be under the oppression of a different country telling them how to run their lives. And then in the very next room, they had a section on how they went. The first thing they did when they got their independence was go to another country and tell them how to live their lives. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Anyway, so let's actually talk about the division now. So the first tank division never saw action. So, okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, World War III didn't happen, and that means it was one of the best equipped ones because it was a reserve tank division behind the infantry divisions. So, very cool emblem there. And yeah, Czechoslovakia has a very rich military history in terms of, like, it was basically the arsenal of Austria-Hungary. That's what I learned in this museum, although the museum was absolutely full of cope. They, Oh, I'm getting very sidetracked here. They had a whole section on the Austria-Prussia War, where the Prussians had the Dresden needle rifle. It probably isn't called that. The Dresden needle rifle, which could fire 3 times faster than the muzzle-loaded rifles that the Czechs had, and it had this whole section coping about how the Czech rifle was actually better, and it was simply Austrian tactics which led to the defeat of the army, because not the fact that the Germans could fire 3 times faster and could shoot lying down, reload lying down. No, the rifle was fine. It was the Austrian tactics. Lots of coping going on, but yeah, wonderful country. Anyway, they produced their own BMP-2s, so and they produced their own T-72s and T-72 M1s, and they had way more than 30, right? So very interesting. They also had the Scott, which the Poles get. So you know, you all know what a BMP-2 is, right? But I mean, we're here for a reason. So this is the BMP-2 in you know, East German service, and here it is in Soviet service, and here it is in you know, Polish service. So it's just going to be a stat clone of this, and apparently they're going to get way more than the Poles or the East Germans get. The East Germans get 2 cards, and the Poles get 2 cards. So this division's going to have at least 3 cards of BMP-2s, probably more. Yeah, they produced the T-72M and the M1. And they produced the Scott and the Topaz. So the Scott, obviously, is the Polish wheeled vehicle. So I don't know which one it's going to be. If it's going to be the Dushka 1, or the KPVT 1, or the KPVT 1, which can point at the sky and attempt to shoot aircraft and not succeed in that venture. Oh, it aims faster. Oh, that's actually very important. Although it has half the accuracy. What the heck? Why would anybody bring that? It's got half the accuracy. It's got longer salvo length, I guess. I don't know. And the range is less against ground targets. I mean, yeah, okay. And or the Scott 2AM, which has Malyukas. Who knows? Who knows which one it'll be? And then the Topaz, which in this game is really kind of garbage. So that it's 15 points for a PKT without smoke. It does have 2 front armor, but it's very slow. It doesn't have smoke, which is kind of annoying. And the 2AP still doesn't have smoke, and it's 25 points. This one's very funny. I'm not sure if that'll be a... They could have fit a third one here, although I guess it'd be on the radiator grill, so maybe not. Uh, yeah, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? I assume these are Polish specialities. Who knows? Anyway, Topaz not very good. Scott, okay, I guess. T-72s are like extremely cost effective, and BMP2s are just broken. So it's looking good already. T-72s and BMP2s. Yeah, the domestic arms industry is something they take a great deal of pride in. That was in the museum as well. They had like all the prototypes and everything. It was really, really interesting. So yeah, oh no, the domestic arms industry also produced their own variants of the AKM assault rifle, the VZ-58. They won't like that at all. They won't like that at all. So the VZ-58 was custom, bro, completely custom, not based on the AKM at all. They take a great deal. See, here you go. It looks like the AK-74, but all the internals are completely different. It's very, very different. It's very, very different. We're the good guys. Very, very different. So they won't be happy about that in the slightest. But yeah, it's 7.62, unlike the 5.56 caliber. I've not done a very good job of reading it out, but you know, I'm covering the important points. Another homegrown weapon was the UK VZ-59 machine gun. They do like the United Kingdom in the Czech Republic. They're definitely not still salty about that Chamberlain thing. And yeah, the UK VZ-59, which is presumably this. I believe it is from when I went to that museum, although you know there were a lot of guns there. So there you go. The caliber is 7.62, and yeah, I don't know. I guess it's classed as a belt-fed gun, so it's probably just going to have PKM stats, which they won't be happy about either, because obviously everything Czech is superior. Learnt that in the museum as well. And they used the RPG-7, but also made a domestic disposable rocket launcher called the RPG-75, which is similar in performance to the RPG-18 or the M72 LOS. So the RPG-75 is 58 millimeters. Sorry, 68 millimeters. And it said, what did it say it was similar to? M72 LOR. What was the other one? RPG-18. So can't remember who gets the RPG-18. I think some of the Razvedka get it. That's the 22, that's the 26, that's the 22, that's the 22, that's the 18. So the 18 has 13 pen, whereas the M72 lot also has 13 pen. And they both have, yeah, so it's probably just going to be a stat clone of these two, except it'll have slightly higher suppression because the suppression is based off the caliber, and that's why the lore is slightly higher than the RPG-18, and this will be slightly higher still. I think 250 is a very important threshold. I can't remember. I think at 250 you get a roll for if you get stunned or routed. It might be 200, I can't actually remember. So that might be important, because obviously it's got a higher caliber, so it's going to have slightly more suppression. Yeah, and of course, no preview of the Czechoslovakian Cold War weaponry would be complete without their gnarly-looking SMG, the VZ-61 Scorpion. And then we've got a picture which doesn't have the VZ-61 Scorpion in it. So don't let anybody tell you Eugen don't have a sense of humor, because that's absolutely hilarious. So yeah, the Scorpion is clearly not there. Like, why would they say that and then not put it in the picture? Oh, I bet he had a good laugh about that. Anyway, the Scorpion is classed as a very bad. So look, basically SMGs are separated into tiers, and the Scorpion is like the lowest tier because yes, it is a piece of junk. Obviously, some Czech guy. I don't know how any Czech person survived this far into the video. All I've done is slate them for the past 15 minutes. As you can see, the Scorpion has significantly less accuracy and higher aim time and lower salvo length. So like the MP5 is literally more than twice as good, because if you've got twice the accuracy, then you're already twice as good. But the fact that the aim time's 0.2 seconds, right? So yeah, the Scorpion's Garbo. Big ups there. Right. So we made it to the first tab. So 15 minutes. I have to put this, it just helps me when I'm going back through it. 15 minutes. I'll just edit this specific part out. Right, so let's have a look at the logi. Also, it's probably worth looking at the see if there's an RPG 18 in Wargame Red Dragon. That's not it. That's the 75. 75. Be in the info tab, right? I'm not seeing it. No, maybe it's new. Interesting. I guess it's not in this game. They've all got the 75, which is presumably an upgraded version. With 15 AP. So yeah, oh, weird. So okay, interesting. So the Logi tab, yeah, new units are both italic and bold. So not the best of logistical bases for this offensively minded tank heavy division. It can count on the usual set, so it literally doesn't matter. Although I suppose when they say it's not the best, I assume they're referring to the slot costs, the AP costs. So you've got the fob, you've got a V3S medium supply, which is presumably this, and the T813 heavy supply. So that's all you need, really. So if you look at like 9th Panzer, which we're going to be coming back to a lot. So there you go. This is a medium supply. It's got 3 wheels times 2, 6. Quick maths. Kind of looks the same. So it's probably going to have 1,000 supply and 40 points and 5 damage. It's probably going to be a stat clone of this, 6 per card. And then the T813, which is different to this, I think. Yeah, it's this one. Oh, okay, which is actually the same, isn't it? No, hang on. Oh, yeah, it does. So the T813, 2,000 supply, 5 damage. So listen, if you've got this this is all you need, right? This is just a bonus, but it says no helo supply, so team game players are going to suffer from a lack of helo supply, and no armored supply in the form of something like the MTLB supply, which can actually be really useful. Because it's nice and cheap, and it's armored, so you can send it forwards, and you tend to have points to be able to buy this at the end of a tick or something, so you can tend to fit it in, whereas 40 points is a bigger investment, so, you know, it is a disadvantage to not have a helo supply or another supply, but I think for 1v1 you're not going to notice too much if you've got a 40-point wheeled supply. Command units include the BVP-1K and the BVP-2K, so this is BMP-1K, BMP-2K, which I believe are already in the game, so they'll just have a new lick of paint. So, BMP-1K, BMP-2K. So they're probably going to have identical stats to this, they'll just have a different spray paint on them. I'm not sure what K3 means, but there you go. And the VSOT 65/R2M, which is the Czechoslovakian designation for the in-game Polish Scot R2M, so that's also in the game. So there it is, so it's going to be exactly like this, except with a different lick of paint. I gotta tell you, the Polish camo is terrible. I don't know if it's just like... It's just like, what are they fighting in the Arctic or something? Or is it just old? Anyway, oh no, of course, all CVs have the white camo, right? All CVs have the white camo, of course, just to differentiate them. So there you go, my bad. So we're learning things. So that's it for the Logi tab. So now for the Inf tab, just do a quick edit here. 90. So Inf tab. Sorry for that quick edit there. Modern equipment in this otherwise decent category. The 1 tank division infantry battalions were all well equipped with IFVs, be it the BVP-1 with Malyutka, the BVP-1P with Diversity, or the BVP-2 with Conquers without limitations. So this is all already in the game, and, you know, obviously just packed equipment in general is going to be like that. So, oh my gosh. So it's going to be this, but without Resolute for 30 points, presumably. This, but without Resolute for 40 points, presumably. and this, but without Resolute, for 60 points, presumably. So, and they'll all have a different lick of paint, but you could assume they're going to cost the same. It'd be weird if they didn't. So that's interesting, and none of them don't have ATGMs, which is a shame, because this, well, to be honest, there's never any reason to get this when you could get this for 5 points more. But, you know. But yeah, we'll see if it's got smoke on it, because like this one doesn't have smoke. Whereas this one does. Which obviously just makes it way better for only 5 points more, and it's got Resolute. The Czechs probably won't have Resolute. That seems to be an East German thing. Eugen just seemed to be convinced that the East Germans were extremely politically motivated to fight. I'm not going to start ragging on East Germans now, and how they collapsed without firing a single shot, so they clearly were not particularly politically motivated to fight. I'm not going to bring that up, because this is the one where we bash the Czechs. So that's probably the prices and the performances of all those vehicles. The new Motostrelcy squads. Oh, I just saw that. So there you go. They've got the funny R. We'll see if they get the funny R in chat. 7 men with the VZ58, which, as we know, is an AKM clone. 2 LMGs, and either an RPG-7VM or RPG-75. Oh, I'm so silly. That was the one from... Yeah. Oh, man, I'll have to go back and edit that. So this is the RPG-75 in Warno. This is the squad in Wargame Red Dragon. Oh, I'm making so many mistakes. So this is the squad. This is the squad. Except here they're 10 men. And they only have 1 machine gun. But yeah, so it's the VZ78, it's the RPG-75, which has 15 pen in this. But obviously they seem to think it's going to be more like an M72 law, so it'll have 13 pen. And this is the LMG, so it's not, you can't shoot it on the move because it's like a PKM. More angry Czech noises. And yeah, so 7 men with AKMs and 2 LMGs. And an RPG-7VM or an RPG-75. So if you look at Motostrelky, so this is 7 men with AK-74s and an RPG-7VL, and this is the RPG-22 one. So they're probably the version with the RPG-75 is probably gonna be like this, except it might cost 40 points because it'll have 2 machine guns, like arm rifles. In fact, yeah, it probably is going to be a lot more like arm rifles, except these are LSWs so they can fire on the move, whereas the other one doesn't. So this is 40 points, right? So it's probably going to be about 40 points. And the one with the RPG-7VM, I can't even remember what that is. They're all very similar. Okay, so Mort Schutzer maybe, VM, VM. I'll just edit this part out. Where is it? It might be in... Ah, there it is. 14 pen. So this is a Recon unit. Okay, so we need to look at the Polish infantry. And I can't remember what they're called. Piechota Zmech, that was it. So it's probably going to be like this. It's probably going to be 40 points for 2 machine guns and a VM, or 30, maybe 35 points for the other one. In which case it'd be a very cost-efficient squad if it was 35 points for 2 machine guns and an RPG. Or it might be 40 and 45. There's a lot of price compression. They might just make them both 40. But I reckon they'll probably make this one 35. Because otherwise they're the same, right? I mean, we obviously don't know. But I reckon they'll probably make the RPG-75 squad 35 points, and then they'll just be like better arm rifles. And then if they're coming in a BMP-2, you get a lot of momentum with your BMP-2s if your squad's only 35 points. So that's what I think they'll do. They might not, but it would be weird if they cost the same amount, given that one has a better rocket launcher. But given the price compression, I don't know. Keep in mind that arm rifles get LSWs, which are sort of better than static MGs. Although 7.62 is better than 5.56, LSWs are better than LMGs in this game. So yeah, that's really interesting. We'll have to see. But I reckon this squad will be 35 and this will be 40. Or they'll both be 40. They probably should both be 40 because they've both got 2 machine guns. Or maybe they'll make this one 45, which wouldn't be fair, really. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be in that range. Pointless to speculate. Then the command versions will have the same manpower strength, so 7 men with Scorpion, one Scorpion presumably, VZ-58s, an Igla, and smoke grenades. So there's quite a few. So does this even work? Like, can I get a command squad only? And then can I say that the weapon is fire and forget? I can. Wow. Hey, that's some technology, is it? Technology. Ha! So, so it's going to be sort of like these, but not really. It's going to be 7 men. We don't know how many scorpions they're going to get. It's probably going to be a lot more like this, but without shock, security, and resolute. But it'll probably be a lot more like this, except 7 men. So it's going to be quite new in that there's nothing like it already. But there you go. So that these are your Igla squads. I think all of your Igla squads, unless the trait thing isn't working properly, which has been known to happen. So it's probably going to be somewhere around the 70-point range. Might be 75, because, I mean, Smoke Strela 7 men is really not so bad. So probably about 75 points, probably. And then we've got the Zenisti, who are the battle group's combat engineers. 8 men strong, with Scorpion SMGs and either satchels or LPO 50s, depending on the variant. So I think this is in this game as well. Zenisti, there it is. So in this game, they're 10 men and they've got LPOs, or they're 15 men and they've got... Sorry, 15 points. So yeah, they've just got LPOs in this. And every transport is a unique card, which is kind of weird. But yeah, so this is how it looks in Wargame Red Dragon. And in Warno, they're going to have Scorpions and Satchels. So... So I need, can we try this again? So we'll try infantry squads, and the weapon will be a close range weapon and static weapon. Okay. Oh, you can only choose one. Okay, that's probably not going to work, and I'll have shock, right? So Vakshas and Stos have Scorpions and Satchels, but they're 10 men for 45 points, so they're probably going to cost like 40 points with the Scorpions. And yeah, so yeah, this is probably the closest thing to what we have there. So 8 men with Scorpions and Satchels is going to be interesting. 8 men with Scorpions and LPOs. Basically, flamethrower is kind of useless at the moment. But yeah, I think that's probably the closest thing that it's called like flam. Oh, I need to get rid of all these rolls now. So, yeah, that's the LPO 50, if you want to see the stats on that. I think all the flamethrowers are the same. So, like, this is 45 for 10 men, so I can't see, I'd see them being 40, because if you're, you know, so 8 men for 45, and these guys have proper machine guns, so I'd see them being, like, 40 points. Probably, this one they'll probably make 45, even though it's worse. So, 8 men with Scorpions, probably going to be 40 points, because this is, you know... Having said that, you know, a bunch of SMGs, even the lowest one, are obviously really, really, really useful at close range. So, I reckon it'll be 40 for one, and then 45 for the other one. That's what I'm going on. But it's all speculation. Then, the command variant is 6 men strong, with a VZ-58 and an RPG-75. And they come in the V3S truck or the OT-62A APC. So this is the Scott thing, right? But like, what specifically about it? Oh, that's the Topaz. Okay, well you don't want that. What's the gun on it? If it's got some sort of funny gun on it, maybe it'll be useful. But interesting. Oh, it's in Wargame Red Dragon. So here it is, and it's got a PKT on it. So yeah, it is literally just the one of Warno. So it is the I can't remember the name. I'm gonna have to check the thing. I'm really sorry about this. I'll just do a quick cut here, and then you won't see it. Where is it? I can't remember. I'll just try and build a deck and then okay. Topaz, that was it. So it's going to be this, which is just garbage. So don't bring it. So you'll be getting those in the truck if you want it. And yeah, 6 men with RPG and VZ58 is sort of, it's just a standard. It's just a standard squad, right? I mean, yeah, it's going to be like this, except this is 4 men. And RPG 75 is worse than this. So it'll probably be about 50 points, something like that. CV prices are all over the place, so these guys have an SVD, so it'll probably be about 40 points. Do they get smoked? No. It'll probably be about 40 points. CSLA military police called the TIE is 5 men with Scorpion and SV58s carrying the military police trait, driving to battle with their MP vehicle. Extremely important to have a military police vehicle. Britain still doesn't have one. 24th US doesn't have one. France just got one. Britain doesn't have one. Every nation in the game except Britain doesn't has one. Except maybe West Germany. I'm pretty sure they got one as well. Oh, I think Poland doesn't have one, but Poles and Brits are same country, so it's all right. So yeah, military police vehicle extremely useful because it means that you can put it with your tanks. You just do Shift F, click on your tank, it'll just follow your tank around, and now your tank's really good. Your BMP is really good because they've got additional suppression regeneration. So very very useful. This is going to be a must bring, but it's 5 men instead of 4. So like all military police squads in this game, see, all the small ones seem to be 4. So this is RMP, which don't come in a military police vehicle. There's Commandaturo, which are obviously the most unique one, which is 4 men. Feldjäger we saw before, 4 men, right? Yeah, 4 men with Scorpions. So it'll probably cost 20 points. I mean, obviously having a 5th man is useful, so it might be 25. But yeah, it tends to be that they're all. Oh, there you go. This is 30. Which it really shouldn't be. It should be 25. But there you go, America suffers. So, yeah, it's probably going to be 25 points then. If this is 30, it's probably going to be 25 points. Oh, yeah, this is 25 as well. What the heck? Eugen? Eugen? Is a machine gun really that useful? I don't think so. Anyway, it's probably going to be 25 points. And twice as strong, but with the same mix of weapons featuring the security trait. So I don't know if they'll still have the military police trait. Polny Sentini, deployable in either the truck or the Topaz, which you don't want. So that's going to be 10 men without RPGs, but with lots of Scorpions and machine guns. So it's going to be like they changed Zargo tryhards. It's called something stupid now. RIP. Fun lobby strikes again. Remove all the fun. Anti-fun lobby. Nerd lobby. Whatever you want to call them. I think nerd is too nice a word for these people. Anyway, it's probably going to be more like this. But if it's not got an SVD and it's not got MGs of any kind and it's just guns, it's probably going to be more like 40 points. Which, yeah. And we don't know if it's going to have military police either. So, I don't know, it's probably going to be about 40 points at the 10-man squad. With that, well, actually, then you're slipping into Zikarung's territory, aren't you? This one, which is 11 men for 45. So, yeah, it'll be 40 or 45 points. There's also another one, what are they called? Okranas. Orc. So, that's 45 for 10 men. And, yeah, so it's probably going to be 45 points. Or 40 if they're feeling generous. Because they've got Scorpions, which sort of makes them worse, to be honest. So, yeah. If they've got military police as well, it'll be useful. But if it's literally just security, yeah, I think it's going to be a 40-point 10-man squad, which is pretty useful, right? You've also got regular Jaeger, 40 points for 9 men, but they've got DMR. Yeah, it's probably going to be 40 points. So, Support units include Lovsi Tanku, which is 6 men strong. It's Panzerjäger, basically. Or all variants of the BVP. Wow, so you can get them in the BMP too, which might make them worth bringing. Because generally these teams aren't particularly great. So there's Papank, which is probably the closest one. So there you go, RPG-7 VL, 6 men strong. Yeah, so it's probably going to cost 35 points, right? Because, I mean, they only lose 1 man here, and they come in better transport, so yeah, it's probably going to cost 35 points, and those are the stats it's going to have, basically, except 1 more man. Diversity team, and so obviously you know all about that. 17 pen, used to be 16, but Pact isn't allowed to have bad equipment, so it got better. So yeah, that's going to be probably that price as well. It's probably going to be 55 points. Probably not going to have Resolute. It's probably going to look just like that. And MMG teams, which are all the same. They're all stat clones, apart from the MG3, which actually got fixed last patch. So it's good. So now the MG3 is the same as well. It used to be better. So 15 points, 12 in a card, 4 men, with an MMG, and all the MMGs shoot the same, apparently. So yeah, that's that. Arty tab, so pretty good category with tube-based artillery, including the new VZ52 82mm mortar. So is that self-propelled or what? Because that is the problem that Pact has. Apparently, they also made a rifle called that. Doesn't surprise me. All the numbers in the world called two things 52. So it's not self-propelled. I'm not sure what the M means. But yeah, it's just going to be an 82mm mortar, which quite frankly are all over the place in this game. So this one goes 5,925 meters, because Soviet strong. This one, which costs the same, goes 4,925 meters. The American one goes 4,925, and I'm looking for this one goes 4,925. The Belgians get a really bad one. This one goes 4,000, so it's probably going to be a 4,900 one, but for some reason the Soviet one's better than everybody else's. Must be that 1 extra millimeter makes it go further than 120, makes it go further than 107, you know, makes it go further than 120. It's clearly a bug, and they just can't be bothered fixing it. So who knows how far it'll go. The Belgians get a really, really bad one. I think it's called like M30 or something. No. It's worth waiting for. M1. This goes 3,500 meters. Right? So yeah. Presumably it'll be 4,925 meters. Let's see if it's in this game. In this game, basically, there are no towed vehicles, so everything is self-propelled. So they get it. So there you go. Actually, I don't know if this is going to be a separate thing, actually. Self-propelled mortar. Might be a separate thing. Obviously, we've got 3 Czech divisions, so we don't know. We don't know. Oh, no, I started the Arty tab, but I forgot to write down at what time I started it. Okay, well, it's going to be... Okay, approx before 38 minutes Arty. Sorry about that brief intermission there, guys. I was just sorting something out of my end. So D30 122mm howitzers, which are already in the game. There's going to be a lot of this for packed equipment. So it's just going to look like that, and presumably it's going to have its direct fire capability. So yeah, very, very popular howitzer, very bad, because low caliber arty in this game is trash, so that's not going to be very useful. And the 2S1 and domestic Dana self-propelled guns. Hang on, the 2S1, isn't that the Malka? So it could be this, it could be the Gvozdika, it could be the Acacia, or it could be the Mister. Or it could be the mortar. This is 2S7. So who knows what the heck that's supposed to be. I would assume it's... Well, I mean, it could be any of them. Because These are actually no, all of these are Gvozdikas. Yeah, so it's a Gvozdika. I thought this was an Acacia. My bad. Because for some reason they oh, I see. Because it's marine, it's got resolutes. It's a separate card. Sorry, I don't mean to lean in. Do apologise. So it's Gvozdika, and then the Dana, which is the one you're actually going to bring. The Dana's really pretty absurd. So it's got a very nice range, and it's got the maximum fire rate. So and it's wheeled, and it's nice and cheap. So you get it right up close to the front line and just zap people with it, and then you can reposition very fast. Basically, immune to counter battery unless you're a moron, which sadly there are many of. Um, and yeah, these are your Czech people. When I went to the Czech Republic, did I ever tell you I went there? I noticed that they tend to have quite large noses. That's just something I noticed. I don't know. So like this man looks very Czech. I would say this man looks very Czech, as does this guy. But who knows? I mean, it is what it is. So, rocket artillery includes the domestic-made RM-70. Interesting. As well as the older 32-round 130mm RM-51 MLRS. So it's a watch, apparently. But there you go. It's this. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 4 is 32. Is it in this? There's the RM-70. Looks like it's not in this. Here's the Dana, by the way, in Red Dragon. It's really good. But yeah, so obviously RM-70, right? And this is like an upgraded Dana, which I guess is out of time frame. It's just a Dana with a longer barrel and the new Czech flag spray painted onto it. So yeah, it's gonna have 32 shots, and it's 130mm. So if you look at the Grad, this is 122, and it's 40. So it's gonna be like a Grad, except with it's gonna have less supply cost because the supply cost is tied to the number of missiles, not the caliber of missiles. If you look at the Uragan, oh, actually, it is tied to caliber of missiles. Who knows? Who knows? I assume they would give it the same caliber supply cost as the Grad in terms of caliber of missiles. Because if you look at what's that thing called, the Wiz, where is it? The thing that the Poles get that's really good. The Whip. This is 140mm, but the supply cost per missile is 160 divided by 8, 20 per missile, whereas the Grad is 800 divided by 40. 800 divided by 40, 20 per missile, right? Even though the caliber on this is bigger. So it's probably gonna have 20 per missile times by 32. So it's going to cost 640 supply for a similar offensive power as the Grad, which is 800 supply. Presumably the reload time will be the same, although this is 40 seconds. So it might even reload quicker. So, but yeah, I reckon it'll have less supply cost, and it'll actually be pretty useful. Having said that, you know, there is the BM-24, which is sort of the next step up. And this has a big boy supply cost because it's got that Uragan supply cost. And it's kind of trash. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it's just going to be like a good Grad, and you'll bring that instead of the other one, even though it's supposed to be older and worse, which is pretty funny. Then the new SVOD mining vehicle. This is a BMP-1 hull with its turret stripped and its passenger compartment replaced with 24 rails for 240mm short-range rockets. Whoa. What do you mean for sale? Oh, right, I thought I read for sale there. I was like, what? So it's this, right? And it's got 24 rockets. And if they're 240mm, it's going to be like this. So it's probably going to have like a 1400 supply cost. 1440 supply cost, because it's 240mm times by 24. And it's going to be very short range. And it's really going to mess you up, depending on how quickly it shoots. So yeah, that's interesting. Sounds exciting. When I first read it, I assumed it would just be like a coffin launcher, but no. Wow. I don't know how short range it's going to be, but it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. But the supply cost is probably going to make you have to, only fire half the volley and stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see how much it costs, etc. But it sounds very cool. Next, we're on the tank tab. Next, we're on the tank tab. And all its main battle tanks are part of the T-72 family. The most common tank is the T-72M1 and the T-72M1K. So these are obviously in this game. And so the Polish one is 5 points less and doesn't have Resolute, but usually Resolute is free, so I think the Polish one should cost 5 points more, actually. But yeah, it's going to cost either 170 or 175, and that's what it's going to look like. And the availability curve is basically really favourable. You get 642, right? This is 753, and it's like, why? 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 Anyway, very ridiculous availability curve on this bad boy. One of the reasons why this div's so strong. And they said they get more of them than the Poles do, so it's going to be more than the Germans and the Poles do because they make them themselves or something. So presumably it's going to have more than 3 cards. I mean, we'll see. And then the T-72M1K, which is obviously just the command version, and it is the same except commandy. And it's got mediocre optics instead of normal optics for some reason. No, hang on. What? Okay, it's just got better optics for some reason. Whatever. And, yeah. 2 per card. In addition, a handful of T-72M and Command T-72MK are available. So presumably 1 card. And that's in 7th Panzer. So it's going to be this, and you're going to get 5 per card for 155 points. You won't get Resolute, but yes, very cost-efficient tank. And there'll be a CV. Presumably only one card, or 1 or 2 cards. I don't know what it means by a handful. Maybe only 1 card. And here's the T-72M1 again. These guys only get 1 card. So yeah, there you go. Lots of T-72s. And then, while we gave East Germany a few individual T-72S as a March to War unit, packed bias, the Czechoslovakians, sorry, I keep having to interrupt myself to pronounce this wrong, were in active negotiations with the USSR to obtain the blueprints of the same tank in order to produce it themselves. And then scuttered. Alright, okay. I mean, I think he means scuppered. Scuttered means, yeah, running with short steps. Scuppered is you know, it was synced. It synced. It sank. Or he might mean scuttled, which is sort of similar. But yeah, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And the, I'm the spell checker. Haha, I got that one in. Got that one in. Oh, I'm so proud of myself. Anyway, they're going to get T-72Ss, which is an absolutely broken tank. And it will have access to the T-72S in greater numbers compared to the East German 9th Panzer Division. So what does that mean? It means they're getting at least 2 cards of this extremely powerful tank. So there's going to be at least 2 cards of this, right? 21 pen at 2,800 meters range is absurd. You're one-shotting 7 armor vehicles at that. Or is it 6? 4 is 18, 5 is 19, 6 is 20, 7 is 21. So 7 armor vehicles, so the side armor of this tank will explode in one shot to this. And yeah, it's way too cheap for what it is, really. But yeah, you're going to be getting at least 6 of those at 1 vet, right? I've seen people bring it at no vet because you just want it for the ATGM. It's just an extreme. It's an ATGM carrier that can survive a 30 AP missile. So there you go. And this battle group doesn't field a towed anti-tank gun, with the only tank destroying means being the OTP-TRK Conkers, which is a Conkers equipped BRDM2. So it's going to be loads of T-72s, and then and then one of these, or maybe 2 cards of these. So it's looking pretty strong, and I'll do a summary of my final thoughts at the end. But so far, it just seems like an upgraded 9th East German, which is an upgraded 20th Polish. So, I mean, these divisions are all very similar: T-72 and BMP-2, right? So yeah, it's looking like an upgraded version of 9th. Recon. The division's recon forces are pretty good and contain a couple of new units, both infantry and vehicle-based. For the foot soldiers, these include Pruskomnici. Sorry, I just got. Right, recon tab. So basically, the first unit is the Pruskomnici, which is a 4-man scout team with the VZ-58 and 1 machine gun, plus the RPG-75. They deploy in either the UAZ Jeep, an Mi-2 helicopter, or Recon OT-50-65 transport. So what that is the that's that thing. Apparently, it's in Wargame. So it's this. So it's a Thug. Who knows if it'll have a PKT on it? Probably will. Probably cost about 20 points, because I believe the Thug is in the game as well. Yes, it is. Oh, this is 25 points. And it doesn't have a... So it might be 30 points if it's got a gun on it, or it might literally just be this. So there you go, that's the Thug. As for the squad itself, 4 men with an RPG-75. Okay, so it's going to be like scouts, the British ones, not the American ones because they don't have this. So it's going to be like scouts. So probably 35 points for this, and then you've got the Thug, which will be 25 or 30 if it's armed. So, you know, that's quite a nice thing. Good optics, good stealth is very important. The good stealth is very important. So then you can send this with your tanks once it's finished doing its thing. The Zenitsi Pruskumnici are 8 men with Scorpions, 1 machine gun, and RPG-75, which is a M72 law apparently, and they come in helicopters or the S3. So this is more like motorized Razvedka basically. So oh, there's a 7. Okay, well it's going to be like this except 13 pen. And they're going to have Scorpions instead, so they're going to cost 50 or 45 points, because... Oh, actually, they got 8 men, so it's probably going to be 50 points. And they'll be coming in trucks or Mi-2s. And the new motorized Pruskomnici, which I guess are going to be a lot more like motorized Razvedka, which is 7-man squad with... 7-man squad with 2 machine guns, plus RPG-7 VM. And they get Recon BMP-2s. So yet another tank div with an incredible opener of Recon BMP-2s. Who knows how many cards of that they'll get? Hopefully only 1, but you only need 1. And they come in unarmed or armed Mi-17s, which are Mi-8s. So yeah, it's going to be a lot like the ones in 25th Soviet, I believe. Yeah, it's going to be like this. So 7 men, and they're going to be having 2 machine guns instead of 1 machine gun, but the MG is going to be worse, so they're probably still going to be 50 points, and they're going to come in Razvedka BMP-2s, or trucks, or Razvedka BMP-1s, or this, or that, or this. So it's literally the same as this, except the guns are going to be different, but you get it for the Razvedka BMP-2, and presumably they'll get 2 cards of it, because I just think they will. RPG-7 VM, my apologies, that's the good one, isn't it? So it might be 55 points. It might be 55 points, because the VM is... No, it's a VR. No, VM is the... it's in the Polish div somewhere. What are they called? Commandozi. VM 14 pen. Okay, so yeah, it's probably going to be about 50 points. And they're going to have Recon BMP-2s. Hooray! The new SHPZ are Divisional Recon Commandos. And they'll have Special Forces and Shock. And they'll come in the new Mi-4 helicopter. Sorry, I'm skipping here. 5 men, machine gun, SVD, machine gun, sorry, yeah, assault rifle, SVD, machine gun, and RPG-75. So they're going to have at least equivalent 3 machine guns. And then that means that they'll have, so 5-man squad, 1 carries the SVD, 1 carries the machine gun, so that'll be 3 rifles plus 3 machine guns, which is 6 rifles. So they'll fight with a strength of 9 men, and they'll have special forces and shock. We'll see about this Mi-4 helicopter, but basically it's looking like they've got no airborne forward deployment. So it's going to be more like 9th in that regard. Mi-4, you know, is this in this game? I guess not, if it says it's new, although they do lie a lot. Well, it's not lying, they just forget. But yeah, Mi-4, Mi-4. So there it is in Wargame Red Dragon, and you see here it goes 180. It goes 180. Now, if we were to compare it to an Mi-8, the Mi-8 goes 250. So, whereas in Warno, the Mi-8 goes 205, which means that this will go less, which means it'll probably be about 150, 160, at which point you're getting into... This is very detailed analysis, I hope you appreciate this. Or they might just make it 180 and just make it like the Huey. But, I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see. They might just make it like the Huey. I'm trying to think, what's the slowest heli in the game? I thought it was this, but it's clearly gotten faster recently. Like, why is this... Oh, see, that's something else. But, maybe the Gazelle... No, Gazelle's faster. Yeah, so it might just be like 180. Because, yeah, I thought the Huey was the slowest, but this is capped at... This is 180. So it might be slower. We'll see. And then... Oh, we haven't finished yet. So, as long as this doesn't have special forces on the transport, they don't have airborne forward deployed. The thing is, so the way it works in 9th East German, which this div is clearly cribbed off, is that they don't have airborne forward deployed, right? And they don't have Razvedka BMP2, so this is clearly just a better 9th. It really is. And, whereas the way it works in the Polish one is they also don't have airborne forward deployed, but what they do have is a special forces transport, which you can get at max vet with 4 availability, and this goes faster than airborne forward deployment. Unless the map is very short, this goes so fast that it will catch up to and exceed airborne forward deployment, even on maps like Two Lakes, which isn't that big. So especially on like a map like Loop, or the new one, Creeder, you're getting there first. But these don't seem to have that unless they're going to give them a super duper transport, which I really hope they don't. As for the squad itself, you know, SVD and machine gun and RPG, so they're going to be very good. And there's going to be lots of recon deployed helicopters, right? Lots of recon deployed helicopters. They're all coming in helicopters, so you could probably do a fairly sizable heli rush with this div, but we haven't got to the heli tab yet. The new BPVZ Svatana is a radar recon equipped BMP1. And it's exactly the same, except it comes with a Mayuka. So it's better. Basically, Pact has this huge advantage that their exceptional optics recon has 3 front armor and smoke and 50 points and 6 availability, whereas all the NATO ones are 4. So, no, these guys don't even have one, but because this is only very good optics, doesn't count. But if you look at all the GSR ones, like the Spartan, this is 4 instead of 6. Obviously, it's cheaper, but it's not got 3 armor and so on. And the you know, the Belgian one, the Dutch one, they're all 4. This is 4, 1 armor, 25 points. I mean, it should really be cheaper if it's not even got smoke. But Belgium suffers. And the Dutch, of course, get this, which is 2 armor for 30 points. These prices are sort of all over the place, but it's got a 50 cal on it, which actually does make it better than the other one. But yeah, 4 availability, 4 availability, 4 availability. Whereas the packed ones are 6, so that's a nice big advantage. And they get a new Recon drone, the Tu-143. Britain still doesn't have a Recon drone, even though they used the one that's in the campaign. The Magister or whatever it was called. I can't remember what it was called. CL-189 or something. So this is a drone, apparently. I can't wait for my Gepard to not be able to shoot this. It sort of looks fast. Because it literally looks just like a rocket. But, yeah, so presumably it'll be faster than existing drones. So, this div is incredibly strong on paper. It is incredibly strong on paper. Then we've got AA, and they get the Strela 2 and the Igla. So Igla's great, Strela 2 not so great. So the Strela 2 is kind of bad, but it is cheap. It's only 25 points. But yeah, it is kind of bad. Whereas the Igla is a lot better. So the Igla is 35, and it's sort of like a better... it's basically just a better Javelin for less points. So it shoots a lot further than the Javelin does. For less points. Deals less suppression, I guess. And the accuracy is less, but against planes that matters. Against helicopters it doesn't, because your accuracy goes up with decreased distance. So if you can shoot further, then at the same distance your accuracy will be higher. So yeah, the Iglas, Strelas. Self-propelled SAM includes Strela 10M and OSA. So OSA's got buffed this patch and now come at 5 availability. So yeah, this comes at 5 availability now. So you're going to get plenty of OSAs, presumably, and you're going to get Strela 10Ms, but you're not going to have... This is basically all you need. Igla, Strela 10M, OSA, you're fine, but no Cubs, which is actually unlike the East German division and the Polish division, which also get Cubs, as well as everything else. The CSLA never used a Shilka or a track-based Spag unit, instead relying on this track-based Spag unit. Oh, it's wheeled. Okay, my bad. Praga. We're going to be calling this the Praga, which is an armoured Praga with a VZ-53-59 twin 30mm autocannon. So the resident Pact worshipper was telling me about how good this is in real life. Obviously, it never saw combat, so that means it's really good, because these armies march on paper, unlike British AA, which was used. Anyway, it is in this game. So in this game, it's 20 points, and it's not that good, but we'll see how that goes in Warno. Twin 30mm is probably going to be pretty decent. Although, presumably, it's going to be like all the other Spag in this game, where they're limited against ZU-23, where they're limited against ground targets to 1200 meters. So it's probably going to be like this, except better, in which case it'll cost more. Because it's 30mm, it'll do more damage. But yeah, the ranges are probably going to be like this, unless there's some hidden technology there. Certainly looks like a man just looking out of the window, but yeah, probably going to be like this, except better and more expensive. It's also worth noting that the Gepard is 30mm, so... Oh, it's 35, okay. So the damage is probably going to be about 0.6, just going from these two. If 35 is 0.65 and 23 is 0.52, it's probably going to be about 0.6 damage per shot. And the accuracy will hopefully be like the ZU, but we'll see. We'll see. And yeah, 2-second aim time because it's not radar. It's probably going to be a lot like the ZU, which is basically the best non-radar Spag in the game, and it's going to be a better version of that, so it's probably going to be very strong. This also looks like an armoured chassis, so it's probably going to have, you know, 1 armour here, but then the top armour should really be less than 1 because it's just a guy. But we'll see, might be that technology. Anyway, heli tab, rather mediocre. Some gunships will be present. This will include the light Mi-2 URP. So this is already in the game with the Polish people. So there's this, which has Maryukas, and then there's this, which has Strelas. And I assume if it's not called Salamandra, then it's... right, so what's the urn? Then it's probably going to be like the urn, where it's just like this. It's probably going to be like that. 60 points, pretty effective. Heavier helicopters are the Mi-8, Rocket 1 and Rocket 2 variants. Because the Mi-17 is just an Mi-8, which I believe it said earlier. So, Mi-8 RKT. So this is the bad one, and for 10 points more you get twice as many rockets. So, yeah, and as you can see, they're very ubiquitous. So the Rocket 2 is really useful. The urn's not bad. And then it's going to get the Mi-24D, so rather mediocre, but actually it's got 20 AP missiles, because the Phalange got buffed from 16 to 20, because Pact's not allowed to have bad equipment, and S5M rocket pods. So, Mi-24D. So these come at 2 per card, and they're really good. So it's rather mediocre, but actually it's got all the best helicopters. So... But we'll see about slot costs. That might be what rather mediocre means. So yeah, you just bring as many of these as you can. And if you run out of those, bring the Mi-70 Rocket 2, and you can get the urn if you really want. So that's it for the heli-tab. Very strong heli-tab. I can't remember what comes after heli. Right, so finally, we've got the air tab. Thank you for sticking through with this to near the end. I do really appreciate it. So, decent category for the, like the video. So, decent category. Well, there haven't been any bad categories yet. So, MiG-24BN in Rocket, Cluster, AT, and Napalm. So, these are all already in the game. So... Rocket, Cluster, HE, Napalm. Presumably they're just all going to be exactly like this. So there's the HE one, there's the Rocket one, there's the Cluster one, there's the AT one. It's worth noting that these rocket pods, so I'm not sure how this man is shooting from this one without just blowing himself up. But apparently he is. Yeah, like these, you could say obviously this one fires and this one fires, and this isn't there anymore. But this doesn't strike me as the sort of thing that just drops into the sea after it's finished firing. Maybe it does. Interesting. So there you go. These are all the things, right? The napalm, right? So that's all of those. And then the new MiG-23 MLA Pact Superiority Fighter. Pact has better ASFs than NATO. So MLA is probably somewhere between the ML and the MLD. The ML got buffed this patch because 35Y and 79Y weren't strong enough already. And, man, I'm just a real ray of sunshine today. This does seem like a fun division to play. Doesn't seem like a fun division to play against, I can tell you that much. So it's going to be somewhere between these two. We'll see, right? In which case, will it have 10% ECM or 20% ECM? Either way, it'll destroy my Eagle in one pass. So that's it for air. So let's talk about what I think this division is gonna be like. Let's do a summary for people who switched to the end. Which please don't do that, but I can't stop you. So this div is just going to be a better version of 9th East German Panzer Division, because it is 9th East German Panzer Division, except with more BMP-2s. It is 9th East German Panzer Division, but with better artillery, because it's the Dana instead of the Akatsiya, and it's got a grad and a better grad and a mine thrower thing, and it will have more T-72Ss than 9th, and it will have more, T-72M, whatever, loads of T-72s apparently, because they made them themselves. It's going to have BRDM-2 Conkers, which obviously isn't as good as the Sturm, but it's still very good. And in the Recon tab, it's going to get Razvedka BMP-2s, it's going to get Recon deployed armed helicopters, It's going to get a drone. In the heli tab, it's mediocre in that it only gets the same things, and the rocket too, which is presumably going to go here. It doesn't get the Cub. The Shilka did get buffed and might be worth bringing now, but it gets the Osa instead, which also got buffed and is worth bringing. And it's going to get extremely cost-efficient fighters at 3 per card. It's this, but A mode, which presumably makes it better, who knows. And it's going to get all of Forth's planes. So I'll just show you Forth real quick. It's not going to get the Resolute trait, right? But yes, it's going to get this, right? It's going to get these. And it's going to get all these. And it's going to get this. So this division sounds absolutely cracked. Yet another BMP2 T-72 spam division. And I'm sure the Czechs are very, very happy. I can't wait to play it. I can't wait to play against it. I'd like to take the time to thank the generous channel joiners. They got this video early, right? They generously join the channel. They get their names on the screen. They got this video early. They get members exclusive videos, and they're the ones funding this for everybody else. So if you feel like you enjoy this content, right, if you've been watching it for like hundreds of hours, then you can join up for 1 month, and that's worth 2,000 views of advertising revenue. So that's a great way to help me out. I'm an unemployed full-time PhD student. They stopped funding me because I spent too long reading dev diaries and getting worked up about the fact that Pact has better equipment than NATO. So I hope you enjoyed that, and goodbye. Stay hydrated, by the way.